You think of the FCC as kind of an obscure federal body. Not anymore. It's under attack now for its plans to repeal an Obama-era regulation known as net neutrality. A lot of people, a lot of famous people, have very strong opinions about net neutrality. They warn if it's repealed, a handful of tech companies will have total control over the internet. Wait, doesn't that already describe the status quo? Ajay Pai is the chairman of the FCC. He's been the center of a lot of criticism recently, and he joins us tonight. Great to see you.
Great to see you, too.
So here's, and I actually don't know what I think of this, but here's the line that if net neutrality is rolled back, that a handful of companies will be able to control content. And if they don't like what they're seeing or you're broadcasting, they can shut it down. Should we be worried about that?
No, I think what net neutrality repeal would actually mean is that we once again have a free and open internet. The government will not be regulating how internet service providers, how anyone else in the internet economy manages their networks. And so I think we had that free market approach for 20 years, starting in President Clinton's time,
right,
in 1996, all the way through 2015. The internet wasn't broken when the Obama FCC decided to try to fix it. And we've seen the effects of these regulations over the last 2 years. It's made for worse infrastructure investment, less innovation, and I think that's part of the reason why these regulations need to go.
But I guess what's changed is we're in the middle of the biggest witch hunt in American history, and corporations are complicit in that. So what would happen if this is repealed and the Southern Poverty Law Center says, you know, I saw Fox News the other night, that's hate speech, internet service provider shut them down. What would prevent the service provider from doing that?
Well, one thing is that the FCC requires transparency. If any ISP engaged in that kind of conduct, they would have to disclose it. Additionally, the Federal Trade Commission would have jurisdiction over it. But I think you've actually put your finger on something that's very important that I've talked about. Where is the real threat to the free and open internet? And one of the things that people have suggested is it's not internet service providers, it's some of the content companies that decide what you see on the internet and, more importantly, what you don't see. Where's the transparency there? Shouldn't we have a conversation that involves them as well?
Why don't we? So you have two companies, Google and Facebook, that control 90% of all digital ad dollars. That means they basically control all news on the internet. Nobody ever says anything about it. Nobody appears worried by it. Why is that?
I'm not sure why, but you do see rumblings on Capitol Hill. Members of both parties and both houses are a little bit worried about what's going on the internet in terms of transparency and how some of these decisions are being made. And I, too, have raised some of these concerns. When Twitter, for example, restricted Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn's YouTube video announcing her run for the Senate, in part because of her pro-life views. And same thing with YouTube demonetizing Diamond and Silk, some Trump supporters, and Dennis Prager's videos. I mean, a lot of these decisions impinge on the free expression online that we've all come to cherish, but there's no real transparency into how these decisions are being made.
And there's never any outcry, whereas there is with net neutrality. And again, I'm not even sure what I think of it, but it does seem like someone's spending a lot of money to lobby public opinion on this subject, the opinions of famous people. Is it the big tech companies lobbying against
I'm not sure who exactly is funding all of these things, but what I can say is that the hysteria has reached a pitch which is completely disproportionate to the facts. I mean, as I said, we weren't living in a broken internet in 2015. All of these harms that these celebrities and whatnot are talking about are all hypothetical. There's no market failure here. Internet service providers are not and have not blocked content willy-nilly. And we're confident going forward that given the robust rules that we have and that the Federal Trade Commission has, they won't going forward as well.
But we know Facebook, Google, and Twitter have blocked content willy-nilly and continue to, and nobody does anything about it. Mr. Pai, thank you for coming on. Great to see you.